Mr. Secretary, let me follow up on the chairman's question by asking you a very basic question, and that is, if you had your preference, would you be operating under a 1% increase? In other words, do you think that Congress should revisit the 1% cap that is imposed by the Fiscal Responsibility Act?
Certainly, the cap makes it more challenging and forces us to make choices that if we didn't have that cap, we obviously wouldn't have to make. So, yes, it does provide more challenges, but certainly we have worked hard to link our request to our strategy, and as much of our strategy as we can support, we're going to support.
Thank you. I want to switch to a different issue. On October 25th, 2023, that was the darkest day in Maine history in my lifetime. 18 Mainers lost their lives, 13 others were injured in the worst mass shooting that we have seen. The killer, Robert Card, was a sergeant first class in the U.S. Army Reserve. The governor of Maine established an independent commission that has issued an interim report. And that report included several very troubling findings about missed opportunities to prevent this tragedy. For instance, mental health providers recommended to Mr. Card's Army Reserve unit that, quote, measures be taken to safely remove all firearms and weapons from his home. Well, the Army Reserve unit took appropriate action to reserve Mr. Card's access to military weapons. This recommendation was never communicated by the Army to relevant law enforcement agencies in Maine. We had members of Mr. Card's unit raising alarms with their supervisors about their fear that he was extremely dangerous. He actually assaulted a fellow soldier. He was institutionalized for 2 weeks at a hospital for those with mental illness in New York State while he was on drill. We have an Inspector General's report that is underway to look at this more thoroughly. After I receive that report, I intend to draft legislation that would require our military services to report to the appropriate authorities when a service member poses a threat to him or herself or to others while protecting the Second Amendment rights of our service members. Would you commit to working with me on such legislation to establish formal policies and procedures so that we can ensure that our military services share this kind of relevant information with law enforcement and with state officials under the appropriate state laws?
Thanks, Senator. Well, first of all, this was a tragedy, and my thoughts and prayers go out to all those affected by this tragedy. The health and welfare of our troops is very important to me, at the top of my mind all the time. So is the health and welfare of our community members. And so absolutely, we will work with you to ensure that we have the mechanisms to, where appropriate, pass relevant information to authorities. And so I look forward to my staff engaging your staff on this issue and going forward.
Thank you very much.